Hello, class. This is Tim Tomlanovich. Hope you're doing well. This is Intro to Civil Lecture Learning Plan 6. Hope you're do. Um, so, what we're going to do today to learn here is I'm going to go over this slide and we'll go over the homework. We're going to start introducing you into members of the construction team. Okay. So let me get my laser pointer here. All right. So with that, okay. So who is involved in constructing any project when we deal with civil engineer or anything? So we have the contractor. So it's like a puzzle piece. Well, what I'm going to have you do is try to figure out where all these pieces of the puzzle fit together and who does it. Okay, we have the contractor, we have the engineer, we have inspection and testing, we have the owner, we have the construction manager, we have subcontractors, we have the architect. Okay, so these are the main roles in a project, commercial project, civil engineering project. Okay, so there are several disciplines of engineers. We got mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, civil engineers. We got the contractor, construction manager, subcontractor, architects, owners, etc. So all of these people play an integral role in creating a project from all the way from pre-design planning phase all the way to completion. Okay, so in the assignment, I want you to define these people or companies or I guess disciplines and where do they fit in to projects. Okay, so I think it's important that you understand what their role is in a project and what they do and where do they fit in. Some of you may already know a lot of this, but some of you may not. So that's the key. So that's the first part of this. Okay. So let's talk about concepts of testing and inspection now. So aids the selection of materials and prediction of their serviceability. Okay. What does serviceability mean? Okay, so when you look at Highway 41, that concrete has to last a long time. Serviceability. We have to be able to drive on it, right? We don't want it cracking. We don't want it falling apart. We got to be able to plow it in the winter. It can deteriorate when we put salt on the road. Okay, so that's kind of what serviceability is. So a real simple term of serviceability is a door. Okay, if we can't open a door because the building settles that we can't open or close it, or especially a window, that is not serviceable. Okay, so that's what we have to do for serviceability. So in concrete, there's three ingredients. We got water, cement, and aggregate. Okay, asphalt, soils. So serviceability, that's what that's talking about. Okay, quality construction requires inspection and control. Okay, so this is where you fall into place. Okay, inspection and control. All right, so a contractor, everybody needs to make money. Okay, so a contractor, if they could, they would like to substitute materials that cost them less. Okay, to construct and install based on the plans and specs. However, it may not have the serviceability goals or it may not qualify on the quality of what of us engineers do. So that's why we have inspection and control of these materials. Okay. Um, aids in preparation of adequate specifications. So we basically want to tell the contractor what they want or what we want as engineers. So they just, do we want the Walmart brand or do we want the Target brand? Okay, because they're going to choose the cheapest way for them to make the easiest, the quickest money. Okay, so provides protection of mutual interest. Okay, so the owner, okay, the engineers like Highway 41, we want to protect the interest of that project. Okay, so it needs to be done right. Okay, however, we need to protect the contractor too. They need to make money. Okay, so this is the concept of testing and inspection. It's just basically a check on each other to make sure that we're getting what we paid for. Okay, and we're not telling the contractor to do more than what they propose to do. Okay. So, testing, the physical performance of operations to determine quantitative measures of certain properties. Lab testing, okay? Concrete, aggregate, soil, asphalt. Okay, you're in a lab, you're testing these quantitative properties, and what you're doing is you're comparing them to a specification, the WSTOT or ASTM specification, to make sure it meets that property. Okay, it determines quality, and this is the key. Testing discovers facts regardless of results. Okay, so it's either going to be pass or fail. Okay, so it's your role as an inspector and testing person. You're not the one that is going to make the decision if it's acceptable or not. You're just basically reporting the results. Does it test, or does it pass, or does it fail? Okay. Oops, went too fast there. Okay, inspection, the observation and examination of the process and products of construction to assure satisfactory work in accordance with plans and specifications. So when we're out there surveying and testing concrete, we're observing or inspecting to make sure it's being constructed to guidelines of what we want them to do. Okay, that they're not taking shortcuts, or they're not doing too much than what they're supposed to do. Okay, okay, that's what inspection is. May involve testing. Okay, concrete testing aims at control of quality through application of established criteria. That established criteria, ASTM, ACI, American Concrete Institute, WSTOT, AgTech, all those certifications. There are established criteria where the inspection plays a role in, is that when we're watching them, that we are following certain criteria. Okay, involves rejection of substandard material. Okay, so if the concrete truck comes in and it's out of spec, we there's obviously a reporting issue there. We have to report it. We have to tell people, and it may be rejected. And it involves human relationships as well as technical duties. Okay, so you don't want to be out there as the inspector being that guy that is the jerk because things don't pass. So you want to be that person, guy or gal, that is willing to help the contractor. Kind of warn them and say, hey, this last slump was really close to our specification. Hey, that this gradation was close to failing. So maybe you want to check on that, right? So we can help them. To help them, one is give a good quality product to the owner and the engineer, right? And to help them so they can catch it early enough so they're not getting deducted in pay because their tests are failing. So you want to have that relationship, but you got to be firm, though. Okay, you got to be firm. Attempt to tell the contractor what is wanted. That's what we're always trying to do. Okay, that's what specifications for. It tells the contractor how to estimate and bid the project to construct it, to give the owner or the engineer a cost. Okay, that's what a specification is. There are specification and statements of standards of quality. Okay? Not necessarily for the ideal material, but material possible to obtain at a reasonable cost. So standards, let's talk about standards of quality. American ASTM, American Standards of Testing of Materials. Okay, WSTOT has a specification. Typically, what we're doing is we're following those standards of quality. Okay, and then when we talk about this here, say a contract, this is relevant today, COVID, right? We're running out of, we can't get certain products, right, because of the shortages. Okay, so the contractors say, hey, I can't get this product that you wanted specified in the specifications. However, can we replace it with this similar product, and then it's cheaper and it'll maintain our serviceability requirement? The quality is still there. Okay, So that's what that's all about. So it's a relationship. Usually standard specification usually result of agreement between those concerned in a particular industry and standardizing agency. So again, this is kind of re-going over standard specifications. Acceptance depends on scope of influence and authority of the standardizing agency, and those include associations, Wisconsin Society of American Society of Civil Engineers, Wisconsin Society of Land Surveyors, technical and professional societies, municipal, state, and federal agencies. Oops. So WISTAT, federal associations, ACI, ASTM. Sorry, I confused you there. So they standard specifications, standard methods of testing, standard definitions, material quality and properties. So, and here are some of them. Okay. So in lab, I'm teaching ASTM. WISTA follows AASHTO, American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, American Concrete Institute, Asphalt Institute, Army Corps of Engineers, and State Department of Transportation. Why do we have these standard specifications? Okay. So for an example, American Concrete Institute, if we're all testing the concrete the same across the United States, we have a baseline. That means we'll get the quality across the United States if everybody is doing it the same. They're following the same standard specification. WISTAT, okay? If we're using the materials specified in WISTAT, okay, every road in the state of Wisconsin will have the same quality. However, WISTAT and MDOT, they have different standards of quality. However, okay, depending what state you're working in. However, they all both fall under the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, AASHTO. This is the federal government way. So the federal government has certain standards that the local state agencies have to follow, and the state agencies create their own. They're usually more stringent than the federal. Okay. So this is kind of like what we base our materials testing on are these, okay? So remember, standard methods of testing, ACI, ASTM, standard definitions, and material quality and properties. Those are all in our standard specifications. So basically, we need something to go by. So we're all designing from the same information, okay? All right. And that is it for the slide here. Okay, let's go over to homework. So basically, after what I'd like you to do, review the lecture notes and read the attached files. Okay, so you're going to read this, job of an inspector. And then what you're going to do is you are going to answer these questions. Okay, answer these questions. So you may have to do a little bit of research. You're going to answer these questions on engineering paper. You may have to do a little bit of research, and I want you to answer these questions the best you can. And that is Learning Plan 6 homework. Okay? So with that, thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, you may ask me, of course.